President of Botswana, Mr. Kame, saying that a country without a history is a country without a soul.
A country without memory has no future. The National Archives was established after independence in 1965. Many other countries in this region got their registrations much later, but our government realized the importance of having an archives. The colonial government did not have a very coherent policy on the management of our documentary heritage. And you'll also realize that quite a number of those records were also destroyed, sometimes inadvertently and sometimes deliberately. The issue of the migrated archives was paramount. And actually, the first effort was made in 1967, when the government of Kenya wrote to the Prime Minister in the UK requesting to get those records back, even if it meant copies.
The date for independence had been fixed, and a site was being cleared for a new stadium near the edge of the Nairobi National Park.
Prior to 1963, Uhuru Gardens was already a memorial park, and the idea was in 1966, it was now fully gazetted as a national memorial park. These areas were meant for memory, celebrations, and reflecting on the Kenyan identity as a nationhood. And some of the things that happened with the first president is that he planted a mugumo tree, itself having significance for the African culture. When the second president of the country took over, President Moi, 2 new monuments were put. So in 1983, the 20th celebration of Uhuru was placed, and this is one of the key icons, this big spire-like tall structure. 5 years later, the 25-year monument was put, which is really a very nicely built water fountain with lighting, part of history of the Kenya being explained in there. In 1997, towards December, the whole place was re-gazetted. The 65 acres of the Uhuru Gardens was then re-gazetted as national monument until 2003, when the National Museums of Kenya was undergoing a major reform, including reforming its own legislation that put up the National Museums of Kenya. And at that time, the third president of the country, His Excellency Mwai Kibaki, had taken over. And they were very keen on the history, and they were very keen on sites and monuments, and most importantly, they were very keen on honoring the national heroes and heroines. From the task force report, we put up a cabinet memorandum and a policy paper and a draft bill on how heroes and heroines should be honored. When the 2010 Constitution was unveiled, after the first sentence that honors and acknowledges the supremacy of God, the Almighty, the next actually statement in that preamble is that we are honoring those who struggled heroically for the freedom of this country. And then it says we honor again the diversity of the cultures, religion of the people of Kenya. And then finally, respecting the environment of the country. Down the line, the National Museums of Kenya Heritage Act also came into being. That gives a lot of strength to the government and the people of Kenya to take care of their national heritage. Finally, the national heroes and heroines, which was approved during President Mwai Kibaki's time, became an act of parliament in 2014 during the fourth president, Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. The 50th anniversary was actually celebrated on these grounds, and His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta addressed the nation from the Uhuru Gardens